After learning about my husband's sensory processing condition and his preference for simple, familiar meals, I uncovered deception and faced significant strain in our marriage, ultimately leading me to consider divorce. I know I promised a one-week update, but it's been much longer. I could offer reasons for the delay, but I'll skip the excuses. For those who haven't read my initial post, I sought advice about my husband's limited food choices, and through conversations with many people here and, eventually, his mother, I discovered he was diagnosed with a sensory processing condition as a child. Some comments on my original post were less than kind. I received accusations that still sting deeply. Some remarks just infuriate me, especially one that simply said, "Please don't mistreat him." He's my husband, not a playground buddy, not a brother, not a child. Treating him like he's fragile doesn't help his situation. Moving forward, I was devastated that he never shared this with me. We've discussed all kinds of health matters together, but his diagnosis never surfaced. Let me be clear. This isn't about not wanting to be married to someone with a sensory condition. It's about my husband concealing something significant, causing me stress that could have been avoided had I known. For instance, I often encouraged him to try new dishes, attend lively music festivals, or visit bustling theme parks. I noticed he wasn't enthusiastic about these activities, but they're typical things couples do together, and I wanted us to share those moments. If I'd known about his condition, I would have better understood how overwhelming these experiences were for him and worked to blend activities he enjoyed with ones I liked. Perhaps a quiet acoustic performance or a local artisan market instead of a theme park. That's the background. Read on for the update. Update. I brought up my conversation with his mother the evening before our therapy session. I approached it calmly to avoid reigniting my anger. At first, he dodged the topic, claiming he didn't know what I meant. After some discussion, he admitted he was aware of his diagnosis and intentionally hid it from me. He said I was his ideal partner, and he didn't want to jeopardize our flawless relationship. I explained how his secrecy hurt me, how I could have supported him instead of feeling he had to hide. He insisted he wasn't embarrassed by it, claiming it no longer impacts him. I reiterated how it affects me, but he seemed indifferent. I didn't share my online post, but used advice from it to explain how his condition still influences his life. We went to bed upset. The next morning, he acted as if nothing happened. We had breakfast, he ate his usual chicken strips, and continued our day. I kept waiting for him to revisit the issue, but he didn't. I didn't have the courage to bring it up again until our therapy session. I spoke to the therapist carefully, framing it as something troubling me, not as an accusation. My husband laughed, saying he thought I'd moved on by now. When I clarified that I hadn't, he grew angry and stormed out. The therapist tried to intervene, but it was futile since he went to wait in the car. Worried he'd leave without me, I ended the session early. The drive home was silent. At home, I expressed concern that he might be hiding other things. He claimed he'd read online that women can't grasp sensory conditions, so he didn't think it mattered to tell me. I called that a flimsy excuse. He then admitted he feared I'd leave if I knew. I told him if I left, it'd be because he was dishonest. Apparently, he told our mutual friends he was recently diagnosed, and that I was considering leaving because of it. Now, many friends are distant or cold when we meet. I suspect he spread a rumor that I was unfaithful, as a fake account has been posting vile comments about my supposed personal behavior on my social media. I keep reporting them, but new ones appear. I haven't finalized my decision about divorce. I've noticed he's been visiting toxic, male-focused online forums. One of his friends identifies as part of that community, so I'm increasingly convinced he's not the man I married. I'm mostly confused. I've been avoiding him at home, and it feels like we're just roommates. He stays in his study until work, then returns there until bedtime. Everything feels broken, all because I wanted to help. I'm unsure what to expect or how to proceed. Edit. I'm overwhelmed by the number of comments. I'm trying to read them, but I'm emotionally drained and may not respond. I'm touched by the immense support. Thank you. I'm meeting with a divorce attorney. I'm unsure how to discuss it with him, but I'm beyond caring. You're right. I dread coming home to him, dreading if he'll suddenly want to talk. This isn't healthy for either of us. Some time apart is necessary at minimum. That's the plan for now. I'll be living elsewhere by month's end. I'm uncomfortable with how much attention this has gotten, so I likely won't update further. Story 2. My wife never stops talking, and I'm not sure I can handle it much longer. Is this a valid reason to leave? I'm unsure if I should have posted this elsewhere, but here's the situation. My wife is relentlessly verbal. This isn't just being talkative. She literally doesn't stop. She starts speaking the moment she knows I'm within hearing range, not just in the same room, but as soon as she thinks I can hear her. She continues until I'm out of range, and sometimes beyond. I've left the room, turned on the noisy bathroom fan, taken my time, and returned to find her still mid-conversation, cheerfully continuing as if I never left. She refuses to use the fan in the bathroom because it might muffle her voice, so I hear every sound alongside her endless tales about her friend's sister's neighbor's stylist. Once, we drove from Miami to Detroit before we were married. What was I thinking? I said maybe a dozen sentences the entire trip. She talked nonstop. Watching a show I enjoy? No issue. She'll lower the volume so it doesn't interfere. During intimate moments? Perfect time to share that a celebrity still owns the iconic outfit from a famous movie and, get this, still fits in it. We never go to movies. I've been hushed out of too many theaters. She grew up in a large, boisterous Italian family in Brooklyn. If you didn't speak loudly and constantly, you didn't speak. I grew up in a quiet Nordic family with one sibling. I'm not sure we ever had a real conversation in my house. I wonder if that's what drew her to me. I was raised to listen politely, waiting for someone to finish before responding. She never finishes, or pauses, it seems. To her, I'm always listening intently, no matter how long she goes. Unlike her family, my Scandinavian background means I don't use verbal acknowledgments when listening. No or yeah needed, just a nod every so often. I think it's also about growing up in a cold climate. Keep your mouth open too long and you're risking frostbite. To her, my silence is like being with a statue. She'll pause to ask, "Are you even listening?" or say, "You never pay attention." Sometimes she quizzes me, "What did I just say?" I've mastered repeating the last few words she said, like, "She wasn't having it anymore." I'll echo, "Wasn't having it," and she thinks I've been tuned in the whole time, even if I'm clueless about the context. I laugh about it, but it's becoming a serious issue. Our 8-year-old daughter has developed a noticeable stutter because my wife interrupts her constantly. In her family, any pause was an invitation to jump in, loudly, to keep the floor. Our daughter seems to have my slower speech rhythm, and my wife uses any hesitation to take over. It's gotten so bad that our daughter stumbles over words even when uninterrupted. I didn't realize this was a stutter until a teacher at a school event heard my wife talk, then turned to me and said, "Now I understand why Emma stutters." Just like that. My wife failed at least one job interview because of this. I arranged it through a colleague who later called and said he couldn't handle her nonstop talking. We rarely get invited back for couples outings. She dominates every conversation. You're probably wondering if I've addressed this. Yes, many times, sometimes playfully, sometimes sternly. Her reactions range from anger, where she talks louder and faster with more profanity, to tears, where she continues an unrelated monologue while crying. The one thing that doesn't change is the talking. I try not to let it bother me. She's loving, adores me, is a devoted mother, and is as beautiful as ever, maybe more so. We still have intimate moments, though she talks through those too, but I'm usually distracted enough not to mind. Still, it wears on me. It feels self-centered and unaware. There's a time for lively conversation, but it's not always and everywhere. I know the solution. I'd need to match her energy, interrupt at any pause, raise my voice, maybe even use dramatic gestures to hold my ground. But I'm not from her world. I'm a reserved guy from a home quieter than a library. After 12 years, I'm at my limit. I'm not sure I can keep going. I'm just not sure I could get a word in to explain to a divorce judge why I'm there. She'd probably talk over me. TLDR. My wife never stops talking. Is that enough reason to leave? Edit. Wow. I didn't expect this to gain so much traction. I thought I'd get a few harsh comments and that'd be it. My notifications are overwhelmed. RIP inbox. Thanks for the often funny advice. I'll address common questions and comments here to avoid replying to each one. Q1. Is this exaggerated? A1. Mostly true, with some flair for humor. The celebrity outfit bit is an example, not a direct quote, at least not from intimate moments. She's probably mentioned something similar, though. Q2. Why didn't you bolt before marriage? Was she just too attractive? A2. Yes, she's gorgeous, funny, and full of life. She pulled me out of my quiet shell. Honestly, when you're young and in love, some quirks don't seem so bad. Blame biology. Q3. Did your daughter's stutter really come from this? A3. I can't say with medical certainty, as it wasn't formally diagnosed, but I've seen it develop firsthand. I'm not a speech expert, but it seems logical based on what I've observed. I'd welcome a professional's take to ease my guilt. Q4. Aren't you partly to blame for your daughter's stutter since you didn't stop it? A4. I feel awful about it constantly. I've raised it with my wife, even argued harshly when she interrupted our daughter. By the time I noticed the pattern, much of the harm was done. My efforts felt more like venting frustration than fixing anything. Q5. Is this due to OCD, insecurity, or something else? A5. I don't think it's a specific condition, but I've noticed a strong need for attention, likely from growing up in a big family where everyone vied for notice. Q6. Have you tried therapy? A6. No, but I probably should have. I know suggesting it would devastate her. It's strange. I hesitate to try things that feel too harsh, yet I'm considering divorce. I see the inconsistency.